Hello everybody, it's Katie, and yeah, I have another book review. Woo! This time I'll talk about A Face Like Glass by Frances Hardinge, which was first published in 2012 and won the 2015 Costa Children's Book Award. And I really liked it. This book is set in a underground city, in a fictional underground city called Caverna, the name of the city is Caverna. And in this city, the inhabitants don't have faces. That means they don't have facial expressions. They have to specifically learn those facial expressions from a person that is called a face myth. Our main protagonist is called Neverwhere. She's 12 years old and all her life she has spent in the cheese tunnels with Master Grandable. And they make cheeses, but they don't just make any kind of cheeses, they make true delicacies. True delicacies is a kind of specialty that one just can get in the underground city of Caverna. There are special wines that take your memory or give your memory back. The cheese that they make, that Neverwhere and Master Grandable make, for example, can give you a vision of the future, or can show you something that you have forgotten but that you need to remember. So it's kind of magical food, basically. And in this city, in this underground city, no outsiders are allowed because, they could spread, diseases. And also, Caverna doesn't want their secrets about the magical making of the true delicacies to get to the outside world. So Neverwhere has to wear a mask at all times, or at least when visitors visit the cheese tunnels. Because she has a special face. She has a face that shows all her thoughts, which is called a face like glass, as it says in the title. That makes her extremely useful, extremely dangerous, and a target for assassination. Okay, now that I explained all of this, what did I think about it? I love the world! This world is so lush and full of detail and so thought through and so beautiful, very cruel also, but also very beautiful. I really got pulled into the world, and that was what kept me reading in the beginning. Also, the world building is very well done because Neverwhere only ever saw the cheese tunnels, which means that everything she sees when she gets out of the cheese tunnels eventually is new to her. Everything needs to be explained to her, which is, explained to us as well, so she can understand Caverna. And we kind of find everything out alongside with her, so all the world building, all the informations that we get about Caverna isn't like an info dump, just there you go, 5 pages of exposition. No, it's mostly done through dialogue and Neverwhere piecing together, certain things. The plot, well, it took a while to get started, but there are a lot of twists and turns, and I thought I knew in which direction it would go, but then then it didn't, and then it went in a completely different direction, and that is very rare to me because I read so much. That is just experience, when you read a lot of books, not as many plot points or not as many twists and turns can actually surprise you anymore, because you get used to narrative storytelling in a way. Now I have to say, the first 100 pages or so get a bit spoiled by the blurb, because during the first 100 pages, Neverwhere is still in the cheese tunnels and she has to wear the mask, and she's 12 years old. She's wondering, why do I have to wear the mask? What makes my face so horrible that I have to hide it? I must be very, very ugly. And since it is on the blurb that she has this face like glass that shows all her thoughts, and it takes her a while to find out, that the first 100 pages were a little bit, it's just spoiled a little bit because all of these thoughts of her didn't, to me as the reader who knows what it is that she's wondering about, I'm just like, okay, can we speed this up here? Yeah, but can we just get to when she finally gets out of the cheese tunnels, and yeah, can we just move along? Also, up to page 200, not much happened story-wise. Neverwhere is very, very naive in the beginning, which is kind of the point, I know, which makes for her to have a beautiful story arc. But also that means it drags a little bit during the first 200 pages, and it got to a point where I was like, okay, I need something to happen now or I will stop reading. And then things started to happen and it went, everywhere. But up to that point I was a bit frustrating because it was a bit frustrating because Neverwhere is just clueless about everything and stumbles through Caverna not knowing shit about things, and that just got a bit, oh, okay, can we now move on to something more interesting than Neverwhere being dumb? Thank you. The writing is beautiful. The writing is beautiful. The chapter titles alone. My favorite is Death by Delicacy. It's beautiful. The writing is so beautiful. From the first paragraph on, I was so much pulled in by the writing. Now I have to say, because this is a children's book, obviously the protagonist is 12 years old, and it's a kind of mystery book. It's a kind of who's done it, like kind of that mystery book. Now I was thinking, the book is fairly long, I believe almost up to 500 pages, and I was thinking, to me, the target group of this book would be children from 12 up, I would say, or 11 and up. But 500 pages is really, really long. That's a long book for a child, especially if you are just, if you're not used to reading these big books. And I was thinking to myself, if I would have read it when I was 12, would I have continued reading, or because the first 200 pages drag a little bit. If I compare it to another book that I read when I was 12, and which is another fantasy kind of mystery book, which is Harry Potter, I would say it is a bit, it is not as good as Harry. It doesn't pull you as much into the story. So I think if you give it to a child, you have to prepare to kind of motivate the child a little bit during the beginning of the book, because it does drag a bit, just a bit. It's not as fast-paced in the beginning. That said, the writing, the plot overall, when it finally picks up, it is beautifully written, and I love Neverwhere's story arc and the twists and turns and everything. I gave the book 4 stars overall. I would recommend this book to people. I wouldn't just recommend it to children, I think children's books are beautiful to read for adults as well sometimes. I would describe this book as a kind of Neverwhere for children, like the Neil Gaiman Neverwhere, if you know that. It is a bit like that, a bit. Not as bizarre as that. Well, it is kind of bizarre, but yeah, well, okay, well, maybe the only difference is that we just have a younger protagonist and no rat people. Anyways, I would recommend it for, for people who love fantasy. If you love... It also reminded me a little bit of the Fairyland series. If you enjoy the Fairyland series, or if you know a child who enjoys the Fairyland series, I would recommend you check this book out as well. Yeah, and also if you love, a little bit of fantasy, mystery, wonderful, beautiful world, then I would say check it out as well. Okay, you guys, that was it for today. Highly recommend this book. I really loved it. I hope you have an awesome day. I hope you're reading something wonderful and magical at the moment, and I will see you soon. Bye!